Hey all, Mark Vega, the Run Long After 60 podcast. If this is the first time you've joined us, welcome. I'm so glad you found us here. If not, well, you know how this goes. Every episode of the Run Long After 60 podcast starts with me out on a run, moving, not in a studio, not behind a desk. You know, for the longest time, maybe I've been running scared. Not of running, maybe of life. 2 strokes 10 years ago, but that's in the past. But you know what? Maybe I was running too desperately. At 62, chasing belt buckles. I want a 100-mile buckle. I want a 200-mile buckle. I want them all right here, right now. And all I got was a couple of t-shirts and some DNFs and some time to think. And you know, 2 guests on the podcast, Peter Livingstone and then Clifford Matthews, separately and independently said, you gotta talk to Mark Werkmeister. That's today's guest, Mark Werkmeister. He's 65 years old, runs in New Mexico. He retired at 53 as an engineer from Intel. 58 races, ultra sign-up. Bunch of 50Ks, bunch of 50-milers, 5 100-mile finishes, and 1 DNF at the Zion 100, where in mile 84, he had a bad injury, and he knew he had to end the race. That's it. Simple. And when I talked to Mark today, I realized he is the everyman ultrarunner in his 60s. He's deliberate. He keeps showing up. He keeps showing up consistently. Simple. Now, if you're picking up the vibe I'm putting down, if you like what you hear or see, I'm really glad you're here. Support the podcast by subscribing to the YouTube channel, Run Long After 60, with the number 60. And like what you see, leave a comment. We respond to everything. And share the content if you would. Yeah, I think that's it. That's why I'm here. I'm realizing, in a way, I want to be just like Mark. So that's it. I think it's time. I'm ready. You ready? I'm ready. It's time for Mark Werkmeister. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Welcome to another episode of the Run Long After 60 podcast. I'm Mark Vega. And though he might have been reluctant for some reason, I don't know why, it took me a long time to get this guy in front of the camera, but he looks pretty good, doesn't he, right? This is Mark Werkmeister. Mark, really glad to have you on the show. Welcome this afternoon.
Well, thank you very much. I'm happy to be here. I am following in the footsteps of giants.
Wow, what a setup. I did talk to a couple of crazy guys who mentioned your name, and they were inspired by you. So Cliff, I think it was Cliff Matthews, and I think Pete Livingstone, both
Correct.
of them mentioned you. How did they find you, and why are they the guys that said, oh, you got to talk to Mark? You really got to talk to Mark.
Let's see. How did I find them? They didn't find me. I met Cliff on one of my pedestrian adventures that kind of preceded my ultra running. And when I met him, I was just amazed at the stories that he was able to tell. Peter, I ran across much later. Boy, I don't even know how I first met Peter. I can't remember. But Cliff and Peter and I have done several races together, paced for each other, so forth and so on. So that's how I know him. Know him
right.
Strictly through the ultra running world, and they said, I was going to say we're all over 60, so that was the kind of the common theme.
Yeah, that's the gating element. You have to buy the ticket before you get on this podcast. You got to make it through that gate.
That's a hard-earned ticket too.
That's right. All right. Thank you for being here. Take us back to the beginning, kind of. How did somebody with 58 races on Ultra sign up, but you were in your late 40s, I think, when you actually started there. So how did you come to running ultras?
Yeah, so that's kind of a long story. I'll give you the kind of the medium length version of it. So it really started back when I tried to hike one of the 14,000 foot peaks in Colorado.
The 14ers, right? Those are called the 14ers?
The 14ers.
Okay.
So I did my first 14er in 2000, and it damn near killed me. I couldn't believe I was hiking with my brother and a friend, and I couldn't believe how poorly I felt when I was up there. I mean, it was literally take a couple steps, stop, take a rest, do a couple more steps. And so I recognized that I probably wasn't in very good shape. And so I would have been 40 years old, and I was about 40 pounds heavier than I'd been when I left college. And, a pound or two a year for a number of years kind of adds up. And so I knew that I needed to do something about that, but I really wasn't very motivated to do it. And my first wife, my wife at the time, started on something called Body for Life, which is kind of a lifestyle change thing where you exercise more and eat smarter and so forth. And she finally talked me into doing that with her after she'd been doing it for about a year.
Okay.
And so in November of 2002, I started on Body for Life. And in 6 months, I lost about 40 pounds. And that was
what
kind
was
of
involved in? Wait, what was it? That's a lot of weight in a short amount of time. What specifically would you have to do?
Just eating smarter and exercising on a regular basis. I wasn't doing either one of those prior to that. And
before the 14er, had you attempted to? Were you on a diet? Were you training? Were you on a diet? Were you had a concept of that? Or
nothing at all. Wow. I mean, that's why it was it's like I have to do something. So after that, I guess I climbed my second 14er in 2003 and thought, this is kind of fun. I kind of like this. And so I went on this quest. I'm a very goal-oriented person. And so I started climbing 14ers in Colorado. A lot of them, take pretty good hikes, a lot of elevation. At this point, I was running maybe a little bit as part of the aerobic exercise component of Body for Life, but I wasn't running for any specific distances or anything.
Where did you live? Did you live at altitude? Like to do the 14ers, you had to travel to get there?
Yes. So I live in New Mexico. Lived in New Mexico. Still live in New Mexico, and I lived at about 5,500 feet at the time.
Oh, okay.
So I mean, everybody in northern New Mexico's got a pretty good altitude background. And that led me to be able to do other things. I did a rim to rim hike in the Grand Canyon. That was a lot of fun. A lot of things that I never would have thought would have been possible beforehand. Certainly not when I was sitting on top of that first 14er. And like I said, I got into it really, really hard. And so I think in 2005, I did 17 of them or something like that.
Wait, 17
and,
what?
14ers.
Oh my goodness.
in a summer. So, you know, I'd go up there and try to bag a couple every weekend, and sometimes I would take a week off and go up there and bag them. Anyway, that was kind of my thing. And
Solo?
most of them solo, a few with friends, few with people that I met online. And as time went on and I did harder and harder ones, I tried to find more partners to do them with. But then life kind of threw me a curve. In 2005, my first wife died unexpectedly from a
Oh no, I'm sorry.
undiagnosed heart condition. And so suddenly I was a single father with a teenage daughter. And so that slowed things down a little bit. Anyway, long story short, it took me till 2009 to get them all done. And I was actually riding motorcycles with my brother, and we were in Colorado. We were on top of Imogene Pass, if you know where that is.
Mm-hmm.
It's a 13,000-foot pass between Ouray and Telluride. And when we got to the top of the pass on our motorcycles, we had to stop because they had the road closed because they were running the Imogene Pass race as they do every September. And so we're sitting there watching them go by, and I looked at my brother and I said, I wonder if I could do that. You know, I think I could do that if I trained a little bit. I think I'll try that for next year. I'll sign up for Imogene Pass and see if I can run up, because it's what, up? So it's like up 7,000 feet and down 6,000 feet.
What a story.
It's 17 miles. But anyway, so that was
Did the two of you run? Did you and your brother ever run?
No, he's a lot smarter than that. No, he never.
What kind of motorcycles were you riding?
Just dirt bikes. I don't remember exactly what bikes we were on.
Okay.
But he was a mountain biker at the time, and well, it still is, and was in pretty good shape at the time. And like I said, I'd done all the 14ers. I was kind of casting about for the next goal. So that was my next goal. And so as part of that, and this is kind of where I guess maybe I crossed paths with Cliff for the first time. So I ran the Baton Memorial Death March, which is a southern New Mexico marathon on dirt that's held every spring. And I didn't try to run it. I just hiked it. Most of the thousands of people that do it every year, just march it, as they say.
So it was the spring of 2010. Okay.
2009.
Oh, 2009. Okay.
Yeah. So, no, you're right. It would have been. I did that in 2009, I guess, before I started the running thing. Anyway, fast forward a year. So I ran the Imogene Pass run and finished it. And then 3 days later, moved to China. So as my job, I took a temporary assignment to China for a few months that turned into a year.
Wow. Okay.
And while I was over there, there's not a lot of off pavement stuff to do in China. And I was spending my time driving Jeeps and riding motorcycles and hiking. And so I started running more while I was in China, just for lack of things to do. I needed some exercise.
Okay.
And when I got back, so it would have been in the fall of 2010, or no, 11. 2011. Some of my friends at work were training for an ultramarathon, the Mount Taylor Ultramarathon, which would have been the inaugural one here in New Mexico. And come on, Mark, let's run this ultramarathon together. I don't know about that. So they kept after me. I finally signed up for it. And so then I ran my first 50K on Mount Taylor in the fall of 2012.
September. Okay. Let me pause this for a second. So, okay, that's your first 50K. It looks like a couple of the local race, Jemez Mountain.
Hernias Mountain. Yeah, I did a couple of heavy halves there.
Yeah, okay. They have a 15 miler. It's specified.
Yeah,
okay, that's heavy.
milers.
Then you did the Imogene Pass, which is pretty cool. And then
so I ran the first 15 miler in Jemez as training for Imogene, and then of course did it again the next year not next year. It would have been 2 years later, in preparation for Mount Taylor, just because it was something I knew. Oh, it's
32 miles, man. That's the first time you'd done something like that.
Yeah, it was challenging, but it finished it in what I thought was a decent time.
And you're 51 by this point. I think you're 51.
Yeah, it would have been 51 when I did that. So that's how I got started.
Okay. Did you have a sense at that time that you were older? Like, is 50 old in your mindset or whatever? I'm just trying to capture it, because you did the 14ers in your 40s, and you did a ton of them. Like, that's a significant fitness and significant effort.
Yeah, it did, and it required gaining some new skills. In terms of, some of them they're not true rock climbing, but they're class 3 and class 4 scrambling, and so you got to have some techniques, and you got to be comfortable with exposure and all that. So yeah, I guess when I started 50, I don't consider it to be too old. At least now I don't consider it to be too old. And I never dreamed that I would still be doing them. It was kind of a one and done sort of thing when you do it the first time. I didn't cross the finish line and say, "Oh boy, what's next?" It was a little slower than that. At that time, is your daughter running? Is she, you do fitness things with her at that time or no? No, she was, let's see, she would have been so that's a whole nother story about walking into something. She literally walked on at the University of Pennsylvania's rowing team and made the rowing team. Ended up as a Division I rower. So all region is a Division I rower. But she had done absolutely nothing in high school that even hinted at having any kind of jock bone in her.
Wow.
And of course, there's not a whole lot of rowing in Rio Rancho, New Mexico.
Yeah, that's the next question. Like, she never, knew what it was. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, her first roommate in college was a coxswain that they had recruited, and so that's how she got pulled into it. But I'll give it a go. I'll show up. I can see if I can do this thing. Yeah. Oh my goodness. This is one of the more unlikely things I've ever been exposed to, is her being a rower.
That's pretty cool. So it looks like New Mexico is a home base, and Jemez Mountain, it looks like you've done that more than any other races over the years. Is it shows up at least 5 times, I think, and you went up in distance. So is it just close by, or has it become a favorite race?
It's only about an hour and a half away, and I'd spent a couple of years working up there, so I was familiar with the area and the terrain. And yeah, it's three different lengths. They've got a 50K and a 50 miler, and it's a pretty stiff 50 miler. It's like 12,000 feet of elevation, or 12,000. It's a bunch.
And then Mount Taylor also. These are the ones that are in New Mexico. Cedro Peak, Mount Taylor.
Cedro Peak also, yeah. Yeah, really, I would say Cedro Peak was more the entry drug than the other two.
How so?
I really enjoyed. They used to have a 45K and a 45 miler, just because that's the way it laid out, and it was a fun race. I really liked the 45 mile course, especially. They don't do it anymore. They've gone to a different course. But by that time I had met Cliff, and you start developing this relationship with these people that live in this crazy community called ultra marathoners, and it's been all downhill since then.
Yeah, it's insane. So you're 54. The first time you do the 45 miler, April 2015, Cedro Park, and I'm trying to see if before 50K. Yeah. So that was your first. That was the first time you did Cedro Peak. You did 45 kilometer, but you did this 45 miler in April 2015.
Yeah, that was
and
really
then
the
next
first
month. The next month you did a 50 miler, and you ran a lot of 50Ks and 55K. Do you like that distance? Talk about distance.
Yeah, I mean, I like that distance. Most of it's because that's a common distance. I mean, there's a lot of them. Even here, I mean, even back then, there was a number of 50Ks available in the state. So,
you've had, before we head up to the longer distances, I'm just looking on to the side. You're all to sign up, and you did a 24-hour challenge as well. I don't know if you did a couple of those, but you certainly did one of them. Fat ass 24 hours in Las Cruces.
Yeah,
and it looks like you are overall first position. So that's pretty cool. You're ultrasonic.
Yeah,
so you ranked 100% on that race.
I did. So that was in 16.
Yeah.
That was in preparation. I'd already signed up for Javelina. And so that was kind of my trial. I had paced Cliff for the last 40 miles at Javelina the year before, just to see whether it was something I thought I wanted to get into. And it was a lot of fun. And he'll tell you all kinds of...
Did he introduce you to that? How did the concept of pacing someone at Javelina to see what a 100-mile race was about?
I don't know. By that time we'd been talking about that kind of stuff a lot. I thought it would be a good way for me to kind of familiarize myself with the course. And of course, they changed the course after that year. But and Cliff will say that he didn't give me a very good taste of it, because we ended up walking a lot of the 2 laps that he had a bad foot or something at the time.
But you still had feet on the ground. You still had feet on the ground in the heat at that time of year and the vibe of the race, right? I've not done it yet, but I can't wait to go participate in one way or another. The volunteer run.
It's a good one, and we'll talk about it more as we get further down the list. Going back to that. Did you learn anything during pacing with Cliff that said, I don't think I like this particular thing about Javelina? Or no,
when you witnessed it there?
Yeah, no, it was all good. I mean, and one of the kind of valuable things I learned is, you can walk the last 40 miles of 100 and still finish. And that's come in very useful in my limited career. Do a lot of walking sometimes.
Had you ever gotten, here's a great thing, and again, before we get to Javelina, looks like in all these 58 races, you only had one DNF, and that was relatively recently. So I have to talk about the DNF necessarily, but was your speed ever an issue for you? Like, were you always fast enough to beat the cutoffs? Was it ever a concern? Cutoffs?
I've not been chased by cutoffs too much. I would say I'm not fast, but when you're dealing with cutoffs, usually it's a long enough race that my strength is going long, not necessarily fast, and so they've kind of played to my strengths.
That makes sense. So when I think maybe in post, if I get a chance, I'll zip through this, because it's April and then June and then July and then September. So like 4 weight races, 50 miler, 100K, and then finally you do the Javelina.
That was very specifically, that was very specifically a build for that first Javelina. So the A mountain race, 24-hour race, it's like, well, can I run 100 miles in 24 hours? And it's about a 4-mile loop that you run. And actually that's probably where I met Peter for the first time.
Okay.
Because I was in his backyard. And I got to 84 miles and looked at everybody else's score, and there wasn't anybody that was going to be able to catch me by the end of the 24 hours, so I quit. I didn't need to go any farther. I could have gone farther, but I didn't need to. And so I just hung it up.
That's the longest you'd ever run, right? 84 miles.
By far. Yeah, the previous length had been 50. But this
How did you feel?
This is an easier course than a lot of the 50s. I mean, it's basically fairly flat, and you're running, on a 4-mile loop, so you're at an aid station all the time. I felt pretty good. I mean, like I said, I certainly could have gone farther than 84 miles. I was on pace to do more than 100 in 24 hours.
Right. Okay. But you didn't need to, because Javelina was definitely the A race, and you're heading toward, in your mind, ready to go to Javelina, right? So you do a couple
Correct.
more. You did a 45 miler, 50 miler, 50 miler, 100K, and then Javelina. You weren't messing around, man. That's a lot of mileage in a race setting in just a handful of months. How did each one feel? We don't have to march through each one, but how did it feel every time you ran another 50 miler?
They were kind of graduated in difficulty. So the last one, the 100K at Silverton, was by far the hardest. That was a long race.
And that's at elevation too, right?
That was at elevation. We didn't have weather. We ran it after some weather had moved through, so we were running in snow at the higher elevations, which wasn't a whole lot of fun. I just remember being very wet and very cold that night.
That's September 24th. That's about a month away from Javelina. So let's get us to Javelina in the 100-mile race. So did you have crew? How did you bring yourself?
So no crew, no pacers.
Okay.
Cliff was also running it. He runs it every year. So I had somebody down there that I knew. They changed the race that year from going from 6.5 laps on a loop to it's now 5 laps on 2 different size loops. So I thought that was funny because I had gone out of my way to familiarize myself with the course, and then they run it on a different course, although the terrain is very, very similar, obviously.
Right.
It was very hot that day. I wasn't sure how I'd be able to run through the heat of the day, but
Had you ever run through heat like that?
Yeah, I mean, during training, but not, you don't go out and run 100 miles when it's 90 degrees on a training run.
Right. Okay.
But, I very quickly caught on to the fact that, boy, every time you went through an aid station, you drenched yourself in ice water. And I've been pretty lucky. My stomach's usually pretty good during races. But certainly at that time, I'm also not eating very much during races. But didn't have any problems. I just didn't need it. I mean, I could get by. By that time, I was running with tailwind. So my hydration has my calories in it. And that was enough at the speeds I was going, at the effort I was putting out. I'm sure I ate some other things also, but for the most part, especially during the heat of the day, I was just taking down tailwind and keep on chugging.
Do you still use tailwind?
I still use tailwind. I supplement a lot more with other things now. The last couple of years, I've been trying to run harder, trying to run faster. And
okay.
Your caloric needs change quite a bit when that happens.
At 55, you run your first 100-mile race. Congratulations.
That was also my last. That was also my last 100 mile. It was also my last 100 mile. I made it very clear to my wife and everybody else that would listen that was enough. I got done. I felt pretty good, except my feet were just so sore I could hardly walk. They weren't blistered. They felt like somebody had beat them with hammers. And
wow.
It took me a long time to load my stuff out from the campsite back to my car. And I went off to a hotel, got a room. This is a good story. I'm not feeling very good. I mean, like I said, it takes a lot of effort just to step up and down off the curb, especially down off the curb after running 100 miles for the first time.
Did that happen immediately? Curious. Like once you stopped, did your whole body like shut down and like?
Oh yeah. It was rough, and I didn't even have the energy to go someplace to eat. There was some kind of restaurant next door, and I went next door and got some kind of hot beef sandwich, and I promptly got food poisoning, and spent the next 48 hours long.
Were you by yourself?
I'm absolutely by myself.
Oh, Jesus.
And I felt so bad, and I was so weak.
God.
I actually called down to the front desk and say, "Hey, look, I've got food poisoning. I can't even get anything to drink, and I badly need it at this point because I'm losing it at a high rate." Anyway, I worked it out at the front desk. They actually brought me water and brought me broth or something. I don't even remember. But it was a miserable 48 hours. Was it within that? My first experience with 100 miles wasn't really a winner, you know.
So
it was definitely my last one, and I told my wife very clearly, I'm done. I'm going to continue to run ultras, but I'm done with the 100-mile distance. That's just too hard.
There's no way I'm ever going to run 100 miles again. It's 2016. I'm not the kind of guy that changes my mind. I don't care what you tell me. It's 2016. It's never going to happen.
That's right.
Then
it did.
And then he gets older. and then
yeah. Well, then I turned 60. Then I turned 60, and then I said, I wonder if I could still do it at age 60.
Now, that's pretty funny. How long? I mean, sure, you said I'll never do it again because you were beat up and, you were by yourself and all the things, man. That's tough.
No, I mean, it took me, 5 years to run the next one. So, and it wasn't like I was chopping at the bit the whole 5 years either. I mean, it was kind of
No, clearly you did it. I'm done. October 2016. Yep. I'm finished. I'm just done.
I had nothing left to prove.
But you didn't stop running. You clearly on ultra sign up. There's the 50K, 50 miler, 24 miler, 50K, 100K, 50K, 50K, 50 miler, 50K, 50 miler. Come on, man. Who are you kidding? Were you tuning up a machine? There were some hard races in there. Yeah, these Black Canyons, you get a lot of Dead Man's Peak. You do a lot that aren't just Mount Taylor and Jemez, which seem very real and important because you've done them so long and so often and you're there. But are you feeling like you're tuning up? Is your body at this point a machine that
my body's still not a machine.
Oh, wait a minute, man. Come on. Let me get it out here. You know how to get through the 50 milers and the 50Ks and the 100Ks. Like that's the machine you've been driving. That's what I'm saying. Like you get it and you've been doing it and you were doing it, right? And it treated you, did your body, unlike the way it reacted at Javelina when you went through in 2019, 2021, because COVID screwed everybody up and it didn't go to 2021. And finally, we're at 2021, September 2021, and you run all these great races. So was your body, were you just ready to do it again or what?
Yeah, I mean, I was running races, like you said, I'd kind of spread out. I started running them more places, different places, looking for courses that sounded fun and interesting or challenging and interesting, beautiful and interesting. And then I kind of got the bug to qualify for Hardrock.
What?
So that's kind of what started the going back to 100 milers.
The Bear, September 24th, my birthday, 2021, looks like it's the first 100 miler after Javelina.
I think so.
Yeah, and that's a Hardrock qualifier.
That's a Hardrock qualifier. Yeah, I had run some Western States qualifiers, but they were all 100K. I ran Black Canyon.
Black Canyon Ultras, Tushar's Ultras in Utah.
Tushers, yeah,
Tushers.
That was a fun one. That was a very difficult race.
Wow, 100K, 21 hours, I bet, yeah.
Yeah, but 2 hours of that was sitting right below tree line waiting for the electrical storm to pass.
Oh, okay.
I always wondered what would happen if you got caught by an electrical storm at altitude at night.
And you were about to find out, and you were able to find out.
We found out.
Okay,
got kind of cold and stiff waiting for that one out.
Oh, man. So talk about the bear. September 2021. It's going to be your second 100-miler. Is Clifford, is there anybody in your universe, in your running universe, that's like, oh, man, you should do Hardrock for sure, and you should go, blah, blah, get a ticket, and you should go run the bear? How did you find out about that?
I don't know if it was any one specific person, but I was familiar with Hardrock. I've been going to Silverton or that area since I was a teenager.
Okay.
And actually had my direct supervisor's manager had run Hardrock, I don't know, 4 or 5 times back sometime earlier. So, I mean, it was always kind of in the back of my mind as kind of one of those ultimate endurance challenges. So I decided, first steps to see if you can run one of the qualifiers successfully. And so I just picked that one just because it sounded like a good race. It was up in Utah. By that time, my daughter lived in Utah, so I had somebody who could crew me. It was the first time I had a crew. Still no pacer, but I had a crew at least.
Is it a loop course or a point to point? What's the bear?
It's a point to point. It goes starts in
Logan, Utah.
Logan, yeah, starts in Logan and ends across the state line at Bear Lake, Idaho.
Okay, so it's your first point to point.
Beautiful course. Yeah, beautiful course.
What kind of crew did you have?
Just my daughter.
Okay.
So she met me at the various crew accessible aid stations, and then also at the end of the race. And that was nice. It was nice having a crew. It's surprising how much. Yeah, it's surprising how much difference it makes when you've got something to look forward to at the next aid station or at the finish line.
And you're 60. Did you throw yourself a 60-year-old birthday party when you turned 60?
No. See, I would have turned 60 in November of 2020, and we were pretty locked down at the time. I actually ran a solo 50K on my local trails that day to celebrate my 60th birthday. I ran an ultra.
That's myself. Good. I discovered that I had a birthday twin who's a client of mine, and we didn't know, and then found that out. Meaning we're born on the exact same day, and so when she turned 60, she had a party. So I went to her party, and it was just fascinating to be. I wasn't going there to be a disruptor, but as soon as people knew that I was actually it's also my birthday, it was the oddest reactions from people. And you're 60, and you're 60, yeah. It's just another day. I'm happy about it, but got me thinking. And so by the time I turned 62, I was convinced that I had to go run my miles and my birthday in miles. So I couldn't run on the day, but I got close enough and ran in the desert, the Red Rock Canyon 100. I ran it, and I ran my 63 miles, but I was too slow. So I got kicked off the course after 40 miles. So I had to hand in my bib. I told the race director, but man, come on, I got a pacer out of here as my friend. We're already in the middle of the night, already way out in the desert. Let me just finish this on my own so I can run my age in miles. He was like, all right, man, go for it. So that was fun.
Yeah.
So I got to do that. I got to finish that deed. That was good. Did you like the point to point? Like you said, I mean, it was, it was really fun. It was a good, okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's the only downside of, like Javelina, you're doing essentially 5 laps on the same course. I'd much rather do one big loop or point to point. Point to point logistically is a little hard, especially if you're not crewed. But
you go from saying I'm never doing it again to finding the bear. You're going to do it, and then a year later you do.
Say I'm getting smarter.
No, you're not, because a year later you do what is arguably, they say, one of the hardest 100-milers to deal with in your brain, the Wasatch. So you're at 60, you run the 100-miler, and then you get, by the time you're 62, you do a bunch of other races, a handful of other races, and you decide to do Wasatch. Are you doing Wasatch to get tickets for Hardrock?
Yep.
Okay. You're 62. Yeah, that's how old I am right now. So when you were thinking about Wasatch, how did you train for it? Why did you decide to do that one? Was it harder in your head? Did you think this is going to be hard? Or talk to me about getting to Wasatch.
Well, everything I'd read and heard was that the Bear and Wasatch were almost identical in terms of difficulty, race profile, just even location. They're both up in Utah. So again, I had someone that could pace me. So that's why I chose Wasatch. I disagree with them vehemently. I think Wasatch is a lot harder than the Bear.
Yeah, I never heard that it was the same.
It's the most difficult 100 I've done to date. At least for me, that particular day. I mean, it was. It's got a lot of really steep, loose downhills. I hate downhills anyway, and I really hate them when they're steep and loose. It was very difficult.
34 hours. 34 hours.
On a 36-hour cutoff. But for a time, I was convinced that I was going to be, you asked earlier about being chased by cutoffs. That race was probably the only one where I was doing a lot of math in my head the second half of the race. Am I doing okay? Do I have enough gas left in the tank to make it to the finish line? How much more of this is like what I'm on right now? Because it was really slow terrain some places.
So this is September 2023. Within a month, you're going to be at Javelina again, but this is Wasatch. It's super hard. Was it the hardest race up to that point in time? Was it the hardest race you'd ever done?
It's still the hardest race I've ever done.
Still is. Okay.
Yeah.
Because by this point also you had, and I'm so glad to be talking with you, Mark, because for some reason, though I've been looking at ultra sign up profiles forever, it's why I'm looking to the side on the monitor. Your race selections seem so logical, but also somehow mature. So you do the local races, the New Mexico races, a lot of them, do a bunch of them, enjoy them, finish them, and then a couple of races, you start going outside of, further away and further away and further away, and you described that earlier. And by the time, I didn't count them up, but by the time you get to Wasatch, you're already at like almost 40 races. You have run a lot of races by the time you get to Wasatch. And you were ready for it. I guess that's kind of my guess. As I'm looking at this, I'm like, oh, look at this. You were ready. Yes, it was hard. Yes, it was. Somebody lied to you. There's nowhere, you can't search up the Bear in Wasatch and find a paragraph that says, oh, they're almost the same. It's practically the same. Nobody says that. So did you feel in the moment that you can do this? You can do this? What was your brain talking to you about during Wasatch?
Yeah, I would say on every race that at the starting line, I mean, maybe I'm not challenging myself enough, but I give myself a pretty good chance of success anytime I'm on the starting line.
Okay.
I select races, I guess you'd say, with that in mind. It doesn't mean that I'm not going to continue to do harder and harder things, but I take I'm an engineer by training. So I'm pretty calculating. I'm pretty good at logistics. I'm pretty good at planning. So I try to, there's so many variables in a 100-mile race, I try to eliminate as many of them as I can. And, I'm comfortable with my level of planning that, unless something goes radically wrong, I should be able to finish this.
Was there a dark moment in Wasatch? I mean, you were looking at cutoffs, but was there ever a time when you thought, I'm not going to be able to finish this? Or was there ever a time when you thought, I don't want to finish this?
Yeah, I mean, I would say there's probably been times when it's like, man, is this really worth it? Do I want to run another 6 hours or 8 hours or whatever it is? Especially in Wasatch. I mean, that one is, the difficulty's kind of backloaded in it. Back half of the race I thought was a lot harder than the front half.
Wow.
And I was pretty tore up from the front half for some reason. I don't know, that day was just, it went down harder than a lot of races do. In fact, when I came into there's a main aid station about 50 miles in. So my daughter was there and crewed me and left. And basically you're taking off into the dark, 9 o'clock at night. I already hurt pretty bad. I'm not moving very fast. And I know I've got the hardest half ahead of me. So that was probably, you could say it was, kind of a dark moment, literally and figuratively.
So
and after the race, she told me, she said, I really wasn't very sure that you were going to finish this one. I said, what makes you say that? She says, you didn't look like 50 miles like you really wanted to. It's like, okay, point taken. So how did I do it? I partnered up with somebody not too long after that aid station. We ran the first, I don't know, probably 15, 20 miles together. And that helped a lot. The time goes a lot faster.
Did you know this person?
No, not until the race. You know him pretty well after you run 20 miles with him. And it was kind of the same way at the Bear. I spent all night at the Bear with somebody that was at the same speed that I was and had kind of a similar background and similar age and, I guess, running pace. So that's always the best thing, is if you can partner up with somebody. If you don't have a pacer, then at least for me, it really helps to have somebody to kind of share the miles with.
So what kind of engineer are you, and are you still working? And tell me about that guy who you met at the Bear who did similar things. Was he also an engineer? No,
he wasn't. He was actually a farmer from Wyoming, which is, I grew up on a farm. And I just thought it was pretty amazing that, I mean, I don't think I'd ever met somebody who makes a living farming running an ultramarathon before. I mean, those two things just seem to be kind of...
Yeah, he's a unicorn. That's pretty cool.
Not very common. Not very common. Anyway, so we had
a great conversation.
We had a good time. He was doing interesting things and lived in an interesting place. He lived just south of the Tetons. And it was a fun night. And then he went his way and I went mine. After one of the aid stations, he was there longer or shorter or whatever, and I never saw him after that. We've kept in touch a little bit.
Just magic on the course. What about, so for Wasatch, was it a different type of person? And what was that person?
Yeah, I don't even remember the details too much. And he was faster than I was. And after a while, we got to some downhill and he says, well, I'm going to run. And it's like, well, I'm not going to run. And
goodbye.
But at that point, I'd kind of gotten over the rough spot and just kept trudging along.
I love that. I mean, it makes logical sense. I hear stories about people, connecting and running miles together, and it takes up time. and keeps your focus, allows you to use that as a pleasant distraction. The art of distraction, Paul James Johnson calls it, so that, you're not thinking about, you're not asking yourself, why am I doing this again? What the hell am I doing this for? Right? You're not asking yourself that. I had the
well, and I think the other thing is, I don't ask myself really why I'm doing it. I'm doing it because I want to do it, or I wouldn't be there. I mean, nobody's forcing me. But sometimes the risk reward equation gets a little tighter. It's like, man, do I really feel like doing this for another 8 hours?
After crushing that at Wasatch, you do it 34 hours. You have 28. Okay, 30. October 28th. It's about a month later. No, sorry. It's more than a month later. And you're going to do Javelina again. Another 100 miler.
First one I've done more than once.
What's that?
First one I've done more than once. That was my first repeat.
That's right. You recurring Javelina.
Yeah.
So after Wasatch, did you feel really confident and excited about Wasatch because you actually finished it? You finished that race. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah. But the other thing is, Javelina is a completely different type of race. Much faster, shorter cutoff, 30-hour cutoff, much faster. I don't know if you've not been to Javelina yet, but it is a party and a half. I mean, it is a scene. And I was down there with Cliff and Pete. All three of us ran it that year. And it was fun. I mean, I did that one.
This is the 2023. Okay. Yes.
Purely for fun. So we went out and had a good time.
Yeah, didn't have to. You wanted to finish.
I think we finished second, third, and fourth in our age group, if I remember.
Oh, that's impressive. 23 hours, so under 24 hours, which is pretty impressive. And I felt so much better than I did after the first time I ran Javelina. I mean, so by this time, my body's used to doing dumb things like this, and so it was a lot. Your level of fitness and your awareness of what your body should be feeling like at a particular level of fitness for any particular race. You're smarter. You've done more races since then, right? That's the thing.
Yep,
a lot.
I run in better shoes, softer shoes. That helps a lot.
Is by 2023. Talk about gear. Okay, let's take a pause to talk about gear and fueling in Javelina 2023. So it's a loop course, right? You're not carrying 20 pounds of gear on your back, but
nope.
How are your shoes different?
Like I said, I'd gone to a more max cushion type shoe in the intervening years. I think I ran that shoe in Hoka Challengers and probably Mafati 4s, I think was the second pair. I know I changed shoes after 4 laps because I had a foot that was getting sore that I've since found out has nothing to do with the shoe. My shoe was too tight, and it was, for some reason, pressure on the top of my instep creates pain in the bottom of my foot. I haven't figured that one out, but it's a fact.
Wow.
And so that was a key learning, not at that race, because I fought it for the last 2 laps. But since then, I've learned that is indeed the problem.
Tying too tight on the top of the foot impacted something on the bottom of the foot.
My bottom of my foot's just on fire after a while.
Wow.
I ran into that again on the following year when I ran Run Rabbit. That was where I rediscovered the fact that if I loosen my shoes, my feet don't get so sore. And it's not like I have them way too tight, but they have to be loose enough that I don't have that problem.
I think you can read advertisements, you can read reports, you can read studies, you can listen to podcasts, you can talk to your friends, all those things. But it feels like I'm learning, this is my most recent lesson, unless you're out there running, and I think it has to be race conditions, for me anyway, because the brain is just a little different on race day. And it's not that I'm less aware of things when I'm on training, it's just got a different purpose. And so, you've run so many races by this time. Okay, now you've figured out this thing about the tight shoes and the bottom, and you just have to work through it. But you don't know it at first. You're not going to know it. I didn't realize I had tied my shoes too tight at a race recently, and I didn't connect that thing, that this tendon damage that I did on the top of my feet because they were way too tight. I just wasn't even thinking that was a thing. I'm pretty sure it actually slowed me down. Well, mentally and on my watch, I didn't recognize that. In my head, I wasn't processing, oh, this hurts. My feet are in pain and therefore something's happened. I just didn't put it together. Ultimately, though, I got pulled off the course. I was too slow. But I didn't even think about the foot issue or the pain or whatever until days later. I'm like, oh, I wonder, I should probably do whatever I can to not have that foot pain anymore. Forget this race, just in general. Why, so don't tie your shoes too tight, Mark. Big lesson. Yeah. I guess I missed that at 5 years old.
And sometimes you have to learn it several times. I mean, I had this discovery back, I think it was at the North Face 50 way back in 2016, where I discovered the first time. I didn't actually put two and two together, but retrospectively decided that, it might be that, because I loosened my shoe and then it didn't hurt after that aid station. And then, like I said, over the years, you forget it and had to relearn it again.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Now I'm very aware of it. I mean, my foot starts to hurt. It's like, first thing, it's like, are my shoes too tight?
I committed.
Be that difficult.
Yeah. I committed to pace someone, Paul James Johnson, in Cocodona this year. Would have been his fifth finish, and he did it. Finished his fifth time. He scoped it out so that I could pace him on the last one of the last pacing segments available, 44 miles, Munns Park to Wildcat. Very happy about that. It was just a couple of weeks though from the race that I DNF'd the race, and this is when I discovered this foot issue. So I was very concerned, like, how am I going to do 44 miles with this guy? I'm not going to let him down. So I went into research and development mode, hardcore, on different different lacing structures, how do you do this, and all kinds of different things. And ultimately got some Hoka challengers, and I created a new tying system so that ultimately at the end of the day, I tie my shoe at the back, like literally loop it around, and there's nothing on the front. It just ties around to the back. And I had those Hoka challengers for all 44 miles. And now we're not really running. I'm with him between mile 190 and 234. So we're not going too fast, but still they were loose enough that I didn't feel any pressure on top of my foot, but they were tight enough that, they didn't slip. They were good to go. But it took me a lot of trial and error, and then a lot of, duct tape and crossing my fingers that I didn't want to be a liability when I'm out there pacing, right? And since then, I got some Hoka Stinsons, I got my Speed Goats. And so I've come up with new lacing structures on all my shoes, even my Cliftons that I run in on my daily road runs, trons, and those I don't tie in the back. I tie those on the top, but I basically had to lace around where this tendon pressure exists on the top of my foot. And if I lace around it, no issues at all. So when that happened, though, I thought, you know what? I need to be like Mark. I need to have 58 races. Just keep racing, I tell myself. Come on. There's no way, just keep racing. So it's a year later after Wasatch, we go, a year after the Javelina, October 2023, we get to September 2024, Run Rabbit Run. Now here's another example of a cool race, a well-known race. How did you pick Run Rabbit Run for another 100-mile race?
Qualifier that was within distance of my daughter being able to pace me. And like you said, it's a well-known race. It's got good reputation.
Also at elevation?
Also at elevation, yeah. Got a lot of up and down, and it's at elevation. Fun race. I enjoyed it. The back half there, too, it's probably how to put this. So I ran the first 60 miles or so.
Yeah.
pretty fast for my ability.
Yeah.
And then basically walked the last 40.
And you finished just fine, 31 hours.
Yeah, finished just fine. Yeah. The other thing was you were talking about getting to know people when you're out running. Yeah. It was the first race that I ever took advantage of a 2-hour earlier start for people over 60.
Oh, wait a minute.
And that was kind of nice because we got to run. You got to meet all your peers right off the starting gate. And I ran off and on with that same group of people for the entire race.
So that is awesome. And does that mean that everybody else, if you're under 60, you have to finish in 30 hours? But if you're over 60, you can finish in 32 hours?
No, it's 32 hours and you get 34 if you start early. All they care about is the finish. If you finish before the cutoff, and the cutoff is a time, not an elapsed time, but a clock time.
And it was, wait a minute, so in Run Rabbit, it's 60 years old? Was that first cutoff thing, the first 2-hour window, you had to be 60?
You have to be 60, yeah.
Man, somebody running a podcast called Run Long After 60 better know that and better write it down right now, because what the hell, that's amazing. That's exactly what I want to speak to.
My next 100 is the same way. I'm running Cascade Crest here in about 6 weeks.
Okay, and now we're going to don't rush me here. Don't rush me here, old man. Hang on.
I won't. But Peter and I are going to start 2 hours early.
Okay. Okay. All right. Peter, I was signed up to do Bigfoot. Peter, I think, is going to toe the line this year. I think I signed up for it, and after
now you're pacing somebody.
No, better than that.
Or no, you're volunteering. You're volunteering.
I'm on the sweeper team.
Oh, okay.
I got assigned on the sweeper crew. So thanks to some other people on the podcast, they were like, Cocodona was such a transcendent experience with Paul James Johnson and his crew, and it was just amazing. But I came to appreciate so much more about the crew, the pacers, the vehicle, the support, like how you execute the race. It's so much more than me just being able to get the miles done. And that's when I realized at Cocodona, like, oh, okay, wait a minute. I want to get familiar with destination trails. I want to get familiar with the race course itself. I want to put boots on the ground. I want to have a relationship with that experience, so that 2027 that I pushed off to next year, I'll be as ready as I can be. I just, It came so clear, and I didn't pick that up. I didn't get that, Mark, until recently. And that's when I thought to myself, looking at my ultra sign up, I'm like, I just got to do more races. I think when I turned 60, or I saw these guys over 60 years old running 100-mile race, I thought, wait a minute, that's a thing. And I'm like, I am not done. I got to get out there and run. But in my head, I think, Mark, as I'm learning about ultras, I'm like, oh God, I'm already 62. I did a 50 miler. I got to do 100K. I got to do 100 miles. I got to do 200 miles. Like, what the hell was wrong with me? Maybe nothing except experience. Just got to run some races, right? So all this came to me I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this. And I've been a lawyer for 34 years and happy to do it. And I love what I do. And boom, 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 boom. So I kind of approach that same thing to running. I'm like, well, maybe, Mark, it doesn't work that way. Maybe slow the fuck down. Maybe you hang on a minute, I tell everybody I'm going to live to be 104. So what the hell are you in such a hurry for, Mark? You already know you're slow. You're not going to get much faster. Just be more deliberate about what you do. So having said that, Mr. Wasatch, Mr. Run Rabbit Run, Mr. Javelina, you then go to Rio Del Lago. Rio Del Lago is a Western States qualifier. It's a live qualifier. Is it Hardrock and Western States? I think so.
Nope, just Western States. And the only reason I ran it, because because I DNF'd the Zion 100 in April of that year. And so I didn't have a Western States qualifier.
Oh, wait. That is the one DNF, April 2025.
Yeah.
Did you start Zion Ultra in April 2025?
Yes.
How did it go?
63 miles, 64 miles. I had an injury and was hoping that I could get through the race. And I got to 50 miles, I'd convinced myself that I was actually going to be able to finish this race because it was going pretty well and my foot felt okay. A plantar fascia issue. And suddenly at 62 miles or 63 miles, whatever it was, much more painful than I was willing to do for the next. I mean, from that point, I could have walked it in and finished, I think, on time.
Okay.
But I wasn't willing to subject myself to that level of pain. And they always tell you that you should never drop, unless something's really serious that you're hurting yourself. But again, through my planning and my logistical planning, I knew that if I didn't drop where I dropped, it was going to be really hard to get back to the start. If I dropped at the upcoming aid station or the next couple, actually. And so it's like, if I'm going to drop, this is the place to drop. I'm right here on the highway. I can catch a ride back to the starting point. And so it was a hard decision, but in retrospect, I think it was the correct decision.
That's April. So
yeah, then it's like regrouped. Okay, I don't have a qualifier for Western States. So I looked around and found Rio Del Lago, which has the advantage of being also a 30-hour cutoff like Western States, and it runs on a lot of the same type of terrain and actually shares the course with Western States for a bit. So I thought that was a logical one to go do. But because it's out in California, I had no crew, no pacers. It was purely solo event.
So
didn't know
it was
anybody
April.
at the race.
But how did you? I mean, it was already April, and the race is just a couple months later. How hard was it for you to get in?
Well, that was the other thing. I mean, most of the Western States qualifiers were already booked solid. This one was not. I got
even in 2025. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah. No, it was. I don't think it was sold out when we ran the race.
I've heard many times.
It's a good race. I mean, I don't know why it's not
a lot of
more popular.
California or Western United States based coaches and runners and YouTubers who talk about 100-mile races. They recommend Rio Del Lago it's a very real race, but it's a good one to set your sights on and try to do. I'm so surprised to hear that it was not. I mean, it's good that it wasn't at that time. I bet this year is probably different. Every time you open up a race and then boom, it's sold out in a minute, right?
Yeah.
Did you like it? Did you enjoy it? You were by yourself,
I did.
So your daughter couldn't be out there, like you were just solo.
Yep. Did it absolutely solo. Didn't know anybody at the start of the race. Knew one guy pretty well by the end of the race because he and I shared a lot of miles together. A much younger runner from Boise, Idaho. And I ran, I don't know, probably 40 miles with him that night.
Okay. You're 64 at that time. And you do have Javelina and Cascade Crest on the calendar
for this year, yeah.
Coming up this year. Earlier this year, you ran 53K, 50K, 100K, the desert. Oh, you went to Desert Rats at UTMB. That's interesting. And then another Jemez Mountain, a 50-miler, getting ready for Javelina. Before we talk about how old you are and what it feels like to run in a 64-year-old body, go back to UTMB. Have you ever run? Looks like I'm trying to see. I don't think Aravaipa now does Javelina, right? So you've run a Aravaipa race, correct?
I love Aravaipa races.
Okay. What about UTMB? The Desert Rats, was that your first UTMB?
That was my first, officially UTMB affiliated race since they bought up a bunch of them. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No, it was. Go ahead.
Compare the two. UTMB organization, as an organization? I know it's limited experience there versus Aravaipa. Did you like Aravaipa?
Like I said, I've run a lot of Aravaipa stuff, and even more now that they've bought up so many other races. UTMB, I mean, I don't know that UTMB owning the Desert Rats race has changed it a whole lot. I mean, it's still run by the same people that were running it previously.
Yeah.
Very well run. Beautiful course. Way different type of course. It's more of a, I mean, I think it's a good Western State qualifier because it's relatively flat compared to, the mountain hundreds that I run for Hardrock qualifiers. Kind of just a different type of race. And it's also my brother lives like 20 minutes from the starting point, so I had a place to stay the night before and the night after.
Your brother, you have just one brother? This is the same motorcycle guy brother?
Yep, same brother.
Okay. Now, here we go. You're 65, man. Is that enough? Are you old enough? Are you going to quit anytime soon? What's the deal? You don't look to me like you're ready to quit. You don't talk to me like you're ready to quit. I don't think you're going to quit.
I'm not ready to quit. I think what we do is really good for, I don't know about if it adds to the number of years that we get, but I think it adds to the quality of the number of years. I think staying moving is really, really important. This motivates me to get out and exercise on a regular basis. I know I'm going to hurt really, really bad if I'm not adequately prepared for the races. So I sign up for races that keep me motivated to stay training.
Has the way you trained changed over the last decade? Like, what do you do differently now that you didn't do differently, or that you did differently? The first time you ran Javelina, you're 55 and you crushed it and it's crazy and wow. But here we are 10 years later. So how do you train differently? What's different about your training these days?
I spend more time training since I retired. I retired pretty early. So I retired at 53. But I've ramped up my mileage quite a bit in the last year and a half. And it's kind of frustrating. I've had some medical challenges over the last couple of years. Prostate cancer surgery, a couple of hernia surgeries. I've had plantar fascia issues on both feet. So the last 5 years have been kind of a struggle in terms of, getting to a level of fitness and then holding it and using it for the next race, because I have to take these longer breaks than what I really like to take. And so that's
using the word
challenge.
cancer in a sentence and then saying double hernia. I mean, come on, man. That's a lot. Any one of those things has stopped people in their tracks, man. Wow.
Yeah. My midsection has taken a lot of abuse over the last couple of years. But no, I plan to continue to run. Unfortunately, I'm real 200 curious. I haven't signed up for a 200. I've had conversations with my wife, and she's not really in support of it. And I think that's probably okay. I think that takes a whole other level of time and effort, and it's probably asking. I mean, there's other things that we like to do together, and so if I'm off training for a 200, that's less time that I'm spending doing stuff she enjoys. So far, it's been, the other stuff has won out.
Well, keep at it. I bet you'll find a solution. You'll find a 200. There is a location that is attractive.
Yeah, I paced Cliff at Moab 240. So I've got.
Oh, that's cool. How many miles did you cover with him at Moab?
I did 40 mile sections, so 80 some miles. and I was supposed to pace Peter at Cocodona this year, but then he decided that his ankle wasn't ready for it, so he took his name off the wait list. But we'll see. Maybe next year. In terms of pacing somebody there.
It's pretty impressive. You zip down Ultra sign up, and there's more of your races where you're ranked above 50% than less than 50%, and there's a couple where you really are ranked pretty high. So that's good. That's a good sign, I think. Are you still involved in the New Mexico Off-Highway Vehicle Alliance?
I am. Well, not officially. I'm off the board now. I've been on the board off and on for almost 20 years. I'm officially not on the board, but yeah, I'm still involved.
What does that do? Initially, I think runners and off-road vehicle enthusiasts might have conflicting views on the use of public lands.
Often that's the case, yes. I'm one of those rare people that plays on both sides of that divide, which has made for some interesting experiences both in the off-highway world, but certainly in the running world.
You still consider yourself a steward of sorts of the trails?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, so I mean, like this year, Cascade Crest requires 8-hour trail work as part of their sign-up requirements. And I was able to work on some trails that are actually motorized trails for the first time. I mean, all my previous trail work experiences I've had to do them on non-motorized trails, but was able to kill two birds with one stone this year.
That's pretty cool. I've never done that. I've done trail work with, chainsaws and the like, but never on a motorized. That's pretty interesting. And Cascade Crest says, take us there. It's 30 days away. Are you tapering now? Like, what's the plan? What's the plan of execution for Cascade Crest in a month? Yeah,
so not tapering yet. The Cascade Crest is kind of interesting because it's 1 week after Hardrock, and Cliff is in Hardrock this year. So I will be pacing Cliff from Uray to Grouse Gulch is the current plan. And then hopping in my truck and continuing north up to basically Peter's backyard. Peter will also be down pacing Cliff. But then Peter and I head north back up to Cascade Crest and run that a week later. So won't be a lot of tapering this year.
But
a couple days taper while I'm driving up there.
Yeah, take a lot of photos, you guys. I want to keep our eye on that Hardrock experience this year. Sounds pretty fascinating.
Yeah, it was fun. We did it back in 21.
In your 60s, here we go. Yet another 100-mile race. Now it's just another Saturday. You can say that once you do 5 of them, I think. And here we go. Each one's a little different. But even stacking up your preparation for Cascade and just naming all the experiences you're going to do with pacing and at Hardrock, et cetera, it's a very different approach, it seems, than your approach, 5-10 years ago, because now you're in service to others while at the same time you're in training. Does that come with age? Is that wisdom from age somehow?
I don't know. People would probably question whether I'm getting any smarter in my old age. No, I think it's just circumstances more than anything else. I mean, I look back kind of from the beginning of the year, I've run mostly faster, flatter stuff through the Desert Rats, which was a qualifier for Western States. And then I knew I had to switch things around quite a bit because now I've got a mountain 100 and pacing another mountain 100. And so that's why I ran Jemez 50, which was very difficult this year. It was very tempting. It's one of the few races where you have an option. At one point in the race, you can go to the right and finish the 50K and they give you credit for it, or you can go left and suffer for another 5 hours. And
you make a
it
choice.
was one of those
moment.
where I thought about, well, you don't want to make the choice in the moment. I had decided by the time I got to the aid station that I was going to go left instead of right.
Okay.
Because it was really, really tempting. Because I was not feeling it that day.
Yeah.
But I finished it anyway. But then, yeah, so my training has changed a lot. My mileage has dropped, but a lot more vert, a lot more, long effort, time on feet, slower pace stuff. And I'll do that through Cascade Crest, and then I'll kind of switch back to faster, flatter, longer stuff, get ready for Javelina.
You think you'll have conversations, talk to yourself about the 200-mile races? You said you're thinking about it. You're curious. What do you think? You think in this next year you'll make a decision about a 200-mile?
I don't know. We'll see. My cancer is recurring, so I've got some unknowns in terms of treatment and schedule and stuff. But it's always a possibility. I certainly haven't stopped thinking about it.
Well, you're in good spirits. You look fantastic. I'm sorry to hear about diagnosis, but I'm glad to hear, rather prognosis, but I'm glad to hear that you just stay on top of it. That's for sure. Has your why, last question really, has your why changed, Mark, over time? Like, why do I run? Why am I doing this? Has that changed over time?
Yeah, I think it has a little bit. I mean, when I initially started running, it was kind of challenge myself, do something kind of out of the ordinary. Like I said, I'm goal oriented and set these big goals and try to chase them down. I would say over the years, it's probably pulled back a little bit from that. And it's more about, like I said, finding motivation to get out and keep moving every day. If I've got 100 on the calendar, I eat better, I drink less, I sleep more, all those things that you're supposed to do. And it's good not just for races, but just for staying healthy and fit enough to have fun as you get older.
That makes a lot of sense. What if I'm lucky enough to have this episode goes up and somebody who's in their 60s and they used to be very active in the past, but they kind of think it's done. Then they see a guy like you. They're like, what's this guy? How's this guy? How did he come to be how he is? And they're really asking themselves, should I do this? Should I go try this? Like, what do you say to them? Just imagine they're talking to you and they're thinking about it. They're curious, not about no 200-miler, but they're curious. Like, should they get up and move? What should they do?
Yeah, well, I mean, I would definitely say, find something that motivates you to get up and move, whether it be ultra running or riding dirt bikes or walking your dog. I mean, whatever it is, you gotta find the right passion so you keep doing. I mean, in order to do something that hard, it's got to be something you love, and so I guess I still really love ultra running, or I wouldn't be doing it. And the community is great. I mean, it's not just Cliff and Pete, but it's just, I know so many people, met so many people. It's like any community that does something kind of a little bit out of the normal realm. I think they're a little tighter. They're a little more connected. I ran into the same thing I was doing some very extreme four-wheel drive activity earlier in my life. I had a really good group of friends that I did that with. And then kind of transferred to the motorcycle world. Because when I married Joanne, my second wife, she'd been riding since she was young, and that was her passion. So it's like, well, okay, start riding motorcycles. So I took that up fairly late in life too. And I spent a lot of time on a motorcycle, and running's the same way. I like sharing it with that community of people that I've built up, got to know.
As we get older,
if I wasn't ultra running, I wouldn't have met you.
That's right. As I get older, I'm grateful for all those little stints in my life too. So motorcycles a long time ago. Then when the kids were around, no more motorcycles. But then the last couple of years, the kids are gone. So then on motorcycles again. And recently I ride an adventure bike. So I like to pack up and take all my gear to a race. And that works. Yeah. But for the longer races, it doesn't make any sense anymore. I need a different vehicle. I can't just pack up and go and do a 200-mile race and then get back on the bike and ride back home. It's not smart. Not going to work. But
yeah, I'd like to find a vehicle that would work to sleep in at the race location the night before, which would save me some number of hours in the morning.
Yeah. We'll put a pin in that. I'm looking for that too. I'll let you know when I find something. I'll let you know.
Well, I mean, the obvious answer. Well,
yeah.
I'm 6'5", so there's less options. But
what? You're 6'5"?
Yeah.
What, are you sitting in a giant chair to make you look like you're not 6'5" while you stand up?
No, I'm 6'5". I've only been in 2 races where I wasn't the tallest starter.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
That I know of.
Right. That's impressive. Wow. Okay. Cliff's pretty tall too, I think. I can't remember. Maybe he's just always.
Yeah. No, he's like 6'2", I think.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Oh, this is fantastic, Mark. Thank you very much for giving me all the time and guidance. I see those 58 races, and I feel like I know the path I've got to take now and not be in such a hurry. Just get there. Just get there, one foot in the other, front of the other. I think that's it. And share the photos with at Hardrock, okay? I want to see them. I want to see you, 3 of you guys out there doing whatever it is you're going to actually be doing.
Yeah, there won't be many photos while I'm pacing them because my stint will probably be from like 10 o'clock at night till 6 in the morning. Maybe a sunrise picture.
Okay, sunrise picture or 1 or 2 flashlights. All right, well, have some fun. Be safe. And thank you. And I'm going to do what I can to see you out there on the trails.
All right. Sounds good.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you.
I enjoyed it.